This conference will now be recorded.
Hello and welcome to the System Vendor Testing Kickoff meeting for the Finnish Data Hub. I can see that people are still arriving to the meeting, but I think that we will start now. And the meeting will be recorded and it will be published in the Fingrid's YouTube channel, so that people that on vacation or that can otherwise not attend the meeting can watch it afterwards. So I will start with a short presentation of myself. My name is Fredrik Söder. I'm working with stakeholder testing and certification in Finnish Data Hub project, and I will run the first part of this meeting. And then we have this kind of agenda. You can probably see that we have adjusted the schedule slightly. We will have reserved 15 more minutes for the for my session, because we have quite plenty of stuff, and we also wanted to reserve some time for discussion or questions. We will keep the meeting in Finnish, but if you in English, but if you want to ask questions in Finnish, that's perfectly fine also. And we will start with going through the approach to system vendor testing, how we have planned it to the main principles in our plan, and then we'll go through the deployment plan and interface version management in relation to the Data Hub system. And we also say a few words about the support service, how we will support system vendors during the testing journey, and also what will be the next step, how we will now approach the first testing that will start in April. Only a few vendors have registered for starting the testing of Data Hub in the variable hub integration in April, but we decided to invite the whole system vendor forum to this meeting, so that you can all can get the same information. Could you please note that this is an interactive meeting, so when you are not speaking, please mute your microphone, so that we don't get disturbing noises in the background. And after the first session, CGI will present you a demonstration of the Data Hub so far. We got the first delivery of the stage 1 functionality to the testing, and we are very proud of what we have achieved. So we'd like to shortly demonstrate the business-to-business interface and the basic principles of the how to use the interface. Yeah.
How do they feel that they were like, the term taking sharp turn, breaking?
Okay. Let's proceed then to the first part of this presentation, approach to system vendor testing. I'll start with the purpose of system vendor testing, just to set the scene, so to speak. And the main purpose is actually to support system vendors integrating their solutions to the Data Hub system. So we see it as a service. We would like to help you to enable early testing of Data Hub, so that you can of the Data Hub integration. And of course, we also want to ensure the quality of Data Hub's external functions, meaning the functions that you can access through the external interfaces. Of course, we are testing a lot ourselves, and we do our best to ensure the quality ourselves, but it's a different thing to integrate the real business applications compared to our testing framework. So we think that we will benefit a lot also for the testing that the system vendors can execute. So, but the point is not to outsource the testing, but to get to assure the quality against the real business applications. The next point of view is early testing, and it's something that you need to be aware of, is that the data hub system is not ready when system vendor testing starts. So all the specified functionality will not be available. We are implementing data hub according to an incremental model, and there will be certain functionality available in when we open the system for testing in April, and then we will add more functionality as we get software out of the factory. And that means also that there will be bugs and malfunctions in the solutions. It will not. That's something that is quite clear, I guess, and we will do our best to ensure the sufficient quality, but we will not aim for 100% quality in this phase. We will accept some bugs and some malfunctions, but we will not, of course, accept complete blockers for testing. And another important thing is that the interface specification will change. We are continuously working with specification of the next phases, and we are working with the detailed design of the next phases, and in that design work we will do adjustments to the interface specification and also to the business logic. Hopefully not so much to the business logic, but there will certainly be some changes. And that's something you need to be aware of, that we will not, the fact that we have opened the system for testing is not a reason for not to make a change that we think is the right thing to do. And then about the enabling of testing. So something that I would like to emphasize is that system vendors are welcome to use the data hub test environment in parallel with own development. You don't have to wait until your implementation is ready or your solution is ready. We are happy to invite you to start your testing as early as possible, and we will provide the system to your service. So you don't have to be hesitant with that. When you are not ready, please utilize this service. And to enable a smooth startup of the testing, we will provide a set of test scenarios before each stage. And the first set of scenarios was published in the system vendor forum in the testing channel a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and that is a preliminary list of scenarios, and it's on a kind of descriptive heading level. It's not we have not detailed the scenarios into the steps, and we have not defined the exit and entry and exit criteria in very detail. The idea is to go through with the system vendors that will start the testing now in April and during summer, and we will evaluate the scenarios, and we will add missing scenarios and remove unnecessary scenarios, and a subset of those will form the target scope for the stage testing, and the idea is also that a subset of that target scope will form the baseline for the official data certification later on. We will build up the certification scope during the development phase and very much through the system vendor testing and also through the pilot testing that will with market parties that will start in the autumn. So we, through the experience that we gain and through the knowledge that we can receive from system vendors and from the market parties, we think that we can find that is the best approach to build up the good and relevant certification scope that will ensure quality on the market when the data hub goes live. And of course, even if we provide test scenarios, the system vendors are of course free to execute own scenarios. You are implementing different types of applications, and you have your own challenges and your own views, and you are welcome to also execute your own tests according to your own plans. Well, we will also define kind of intermediate targets on process level so that we can monitor the progress of testing. Because that is something that is no secret, of course, that we would like to know, and we would like to achieve visibility of the real status of system vendor readiness. We see a system vendors as a key stakeholder, as key stakeholders for the readiness of the market, and through the system vendor readiness, we will get quite reliable information of the market readiness, and that's something that we will information that we would like to also to get out from this work, and that's why we will also ask the vendors to report on the target scope. It will not be a complex reporting, more kind of a checklist than some extensive reporting, but so that we can just so that we can follow the progress, and we can see that the scenarios that we have, that we see are important for the market, are also tested in this track. Then a few words about the test data. For stage 1, that will start in April, we will provide some structural data for each vendor. We have it will be 50 market parties. In practice, DSOs, distribution system operators, and balance suppliers, and they will be identified by GLN codes. So that's maybe a detail, but that means also in practice that you need to be able to use the GLN codes in your own systems. And we will provide fictive metering grid areas, and they will be identified by IEC codes, not and of course we have fictive codes, but they are technically correct codes, and that is also a thing that's important for you, that you are able to manage the new IDs that we will start to use on the market after data hubs live. And then we will also provide some fictive products that can be used in agreements. You have to define in grid agreements, you have to define the product, but we will not, the interface for establishing new products will not be available in stage 1. So that's why we'll provide just you with a couple of products that you can use in the agreements, but so that you can execute the use cases, and later on interface for product information management will be added to the scope. you will get users for the CMS user interface, so that you can log in through the user interface and check your the counting point information. That if you are when you are created a counting point into the data hub, and you will get system users for the B2B communication. And when it comes to accounting points, you need to use GSRN numbers. Again, technically correct numbers. They don't have to be real numbers in that sense, that because we have no GSRN numbers for accounting points in Finland yet. But this also means that your system needs to support GSRN numbers. And when you are using personal identity codes for customer identification, the code should be also a technically correct code. And you can find those. There are actually services on the internet available, or generators for these kinds of IDs, so that you don't need to implement your own algorithm that creates those if you don't want to. Okay. Then just a few words about privacy. It has been a very hot topic in the industry and also in the whole society, I'd say, during the last couple of years. And also here, the system vendor testing will be performed in the cloud environment that is maintained by CGI. And you are not allowed to use authentic personal data in the testing. And you should not, even testers should not use their own personal data either. We should only handle synthetic data in the testing. And this is very important. And I think also that when it comes to system vendors, I think that you are also using synthetic data, at least I hope so, in your internal testing anyway. So I don't expect problems with this, but I want to emphasize very strongly that you are not allowed to use authentic personal data in this in the testing. Those were the basic principles, and I will not now proceed to the deployment plan and interface version management. Also, just a few principles in relation to that. As I already mentioned, the data hub system is developed according to an incremental model, and the target is that we will fix bugs and findings in the next version or next main version, and we would like to avoid the need of maintaining old versions. That means that when you make findings, we will register the findings, we will fix them, but we will not necessarily fix the all kinds of bugs in the version that you are using in system vendor testing. So that's you need some patience with this. I'm afraid, but the reason behind is that we don't want to use too much effort on maintaining kind of old development or old versions of what we would like to ensure that progress in the development of data hub. Of course, if we face blockers for testing, so that we have a problem that will block the testing completely, or cause severe challenges in testing, then we probably fix that or make a hot fix to the version that you are using. And we will update the system in the beginning of each testing phase, and that means that there will be a new version system, and also the B2B interface will be installed, and that will have consequences for you, for your possibility to test. Means that you need to also to adopt the new interface specification, and we aim to publish the next version of the interface specification about 1.5 months prior to the update, so that you will have time to adapt to the new specification. But we don't plan to maintain several test environments with different version of the interface. When we have, if there are changes that will in the data hub that will have impact on the external interface, we will do those changes, and we will update the specification, and we will update the system, and then you just have to adapt to that change. And it's also probably the new interface versions will probably not be, or not necessarily be, compatible with previous ones. If we have made changes, we will not. The old version is nothing that we will maintain at all. This is to picture just to provide an overview of the testing activities. And now we are in beginning of March, and we are currently running testing of the stage 1 functionality, and our target is to finalize that to testing by the end of this month, and then to provide the functionality to system vendor testing. And we will start system vendor testing with connectivity test in April. We have with the system vendors that start testing in April. And when the connectivity testing is finished, we will start the functional testing of the functionality available in stage 1, and then we will we have already started the implementation of stage 2 and we are working with the designs of that, and so that works is proceeding in parallel, and we hope to be able to deliver stage 2 to system vendor testing, or the stage 2 functionality before the summer vacation period, and then stage 3 will come on in the autumn, and stage 4 hopefully before New Year. And meanwhile, we will also work with the scenarios in workshops with system vendors that have registers for the scenario work, and we will continue with the principle that we will make a draft of draft list of scenarios, and then we will make a review and detail them out in workshop with system vendors. So this is the basic idea how we plan to proceed. This is a picture that you probably have already seen in the system vendor forum. It's just a high level plan for the content of each stage. Now we will, in stage 1, we will have functionality available for creation of new counting points. There will be functionality available for creation of agreements on accounting points, and also for connection of accounting points. So creation of accounting points, connection of accounting points, and establishment of new agreements. And also the basic, it means that the basic supplier switch processes is available in stage 1. So you can actually do quite a lot of testing with available functionality. In stage 2, we will introduce the functionality for updating customer information and also for updating counting point information and also the disconnection process. And I put this in the DH810 in red because originally that was planned for the stage 4, but for different reasons it has been decided that we will implement a DH810 already in stage 2. I guess that for most of the system vendors, that's not probably the most important process at this stage, but anyway. And in stage 3, we will introduce more complex processes in relation to agreement management. And in stage 4, we will introduce the measurement data management process, essentially. And that is the big thing in stage 4, that we will take in measurement data and distribute measurement data to the stakeholders. And in stage 5, we will introduce the imbalance settlement process. And that's in practice, stage 5, content of stage 5 is more data hub internal. It's not, won't require much implementation on your side. It's more like picking up messages from data hub, not so much logic on your side required. And there will probably or might be changes during the development phase, and we will communicate changes as they come up. This is a very preliminary sketch of how we will follow the progress. This should not be read as dates, just more like order of the things that we will follow during the year. We are now running the kickoff meeting, so I put the green check bit up front on that. But anyway, we the violet ones are specification documents and instructions, and the scenario documents are the yellow ones, and then the follow-up checkpoints for different processes are the green ones. And then we have also the white ones for the approval process, that is our internal checkpoints that we need to reach before we deliver a new version to system vendor testing. This will be detailed later on, I would just like to show the principle of the approach to the checkpoints. Then a few words about support and communication. There is the Slack workspace that we are using in the system vendor forum, and we intend to use that for instant messaging. There will be and Fingers personnel will follow the testing channel that you can, if you are not a member of the testing channel, you can add that channel to your and start following that in Slack. It's an open channel, and we use this because then all the members in the system vendor forum are actually also welcome to attend the discussion. And I expect that there will be a lot of small questions that we can handle quite instantly in that forum, that we don't need to run the questions and our service needs through the ticketing system. But of course, there will be more challenging things, and there will be also defects that you find, and you might have problems with connectivity or something. And for that kind of needs, we will establish CGI use, which is a ServiceNow-based portal, and that will be used for incident management and service requests. So if we have basically that we face something that we are not able to handle in the instant messaging forum, we will ask you to make a ticket in through the ticket service, and now then especially when you find defects. Also other types of assistance that you will need that requires more time or more skilled resources that we can provide in the day-to-day support. Yes. Then a few words about next steps. Today we will give a short presentation of the B2B interface, and it will be based on the SOAP UI tool, and just to provide you an idea of how the interface is used. And then we will, in a couple of weeks, we will have the first workshop. That will be a physical workshop here at Fingrid with system vendors that will start testing, and now in April and later on in summer, and we'll be in that workshop we'll evaluate the scenarios that we have defined for stage 1. And just something that I forgot to mention about the scenarios, we use a strict role-based approach to those, so that if you compare to the process documentation that you can find on the EDL portal, they have a slightly different angle. In the process documentation and the event documentation, you have the viewpoint of Data Hub, how Data Hub is handling events and so on. But in the testing scenarios that we define together with system vendors, and that will be also used in the certification later on, we have a role-based approach, so that we ask that what will a balance supplier do, what will a distribution system operator do, and so on in certain situations. So that is the approach. And we will have, if needed, we will have follow-up meetings to the workshop, but probably an online meeting, and we will agree on the next steps in the workshop on 21st of March. And we will also provide, at about the same time, we will provide instructions for connectivity testings to the vendors that will start testing in April. So you will get information on how to connect to the test environment, and we also see that we need to agree on schedule for the connectivity tests, because often there are challenges with those. You have to open firewalls, and you have to get your IPs and ports correct, and you probably need different kinds of resources that you need for the functional testing. So in order for you to be able to reserve, and also for us to reserve the right resources, we'd like to agree on that beforehand, so that we can make the connectivity testing efficiently and smoothly, and so that we don't have to use so much calendar time and for that kind of task that is basically simple, but typically connected with, you typically face different kinds of issues that you have to solve in the connections. And then in beginning of April, we will start to perform the actual connectivity tests, and we will start to try to run them through quite rapidly, but we have reserved also if we will not be able to do that in 1 week, we will reserve weeks 15 and 16 also for that activity. But hopefully we don't need to spend so much time on that. And then we will also provide training to the system vendors that started testing, and that's something that so more we will get more in deep training compared to the demonstration that you will see soon. And you also need some basic instructions for how to use the user interface that you will need mainly for checking that you got the accounting point information right into the system. So you have, from your perspective, you have quite small scope for quite little need for the use of the user interface, but anyway, you need to be able to use that. And then we will proceed with the test scenarios for the next stage. We will try to publish the draft version of those also in April, and also the message specification for stage 2. Now I'm talking about especially about the XSD. I don't expect much changes to the IES document. I think that should be quite stable, but we expect changes to or there will be changes to in the XSD document based on the designs that we have done during this year mainly. And then as we proceed, we will have more workshops, and we'll start to follow the progress of testing of the stage 1 functionality starting from May practice. And hopefully before summer we'll be able to publish the next version of the message specification, meaning the version that will be used in stage 3 testing. Yes, that was the last slide, and now I would like to I will be happy to answer questions or write down the questions if I'm not able to ask, and also maybe my colleagues that are also present in the meeting are also free to comment. So please, if you have questions and or thoughts in relation to what I just have explained and told, please feel free to comment and ask.
Krista Kahras from Hanson Technologies. I have a question about the ServiceNow portal and the issue reporting. How is the visibility what comes to the issue handling? So will vendors see each other's issues, or will Fingrid somehow report these findings that vendors have recognized to other parties, so that we have recognized these issues and no extra kind of finding reports are needed? So what's the visibility with the ServiceNow issues?
Now we are just about to establish start the service, so it's not available even for us yet. But according to my understanding, it will be the different organizations, different vendors will have visibility to their own tickets. But we will, if we get duplicate tickets, or that if we have known malfunctions, known bugs, we will publish them so that you will be aware of kind of known issues in the system, so that you don't have to spend time on writing tickets for problems that are known So that's something we have a need that we have identified, that we have been discussing the support process that we need to provide you information of what our kind of and something that I did not mention, we will also publish release notes from the system delivery, so that you can also from the release notes see what kind of known issues we have in the system. But certainly we will provide, but you will not have direct visibility to other vendors' issues.
Yes, okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Any thoughts? Comments? If you don't have questions, please comment.
It's Janne Kulin from the Landesbuskur. Hi.
Hi.
Question: we are not planning to participate in the first stage testing, but can we participate for this connectivity tests anyway?
Yes, I think that
yeah.
that can be arranged, and I think actually that would be very good, because then it's easier for us to handle more connection at the same time. I think that we prefer that. We prefer that actually, if you are able to execute connectivity tests, then I think that can be arranged.
Okay, and is it possible then to do kind of a manual testing for stuff if we need like set up something in the system, even though if we are not officially doing that?
Yeah, you will need then, if you want to do work with something, you will need some basic data. So because we, as I told when I talked about the test data, we will the idea is to establish kind of own what could you call it, virtual environments for the for each vendor, so that you have your own grids or meter grid areas and your own market parties that you can play with. So I have to come back with that to that question in detail, but but I think I don't see any reason why why that should not be possible, could not be possible. But that means that we have to establish something for you, and we have to at least to be informed of what you plan to do, and so that we can provide you with the sufficient information.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, that was Landesbuskur. So, so we will be back to you. So with more detailed questions. More comments? Any thoughts? Was there any value in this? Did you get some new information, or what do you think?
Johan Vaaramäki here from Hansen Technologies. Yes, I think this was very valuable.
Good to hear. Thank you. And then I think that if there are no more questions, and then we are a little bit ahead of the schedule, but that's only a good thing, I think. But I will then switch or give the word to Esa Ruohola from CGI, and he will show you a small demo of the B2B interface and the use of it, and some details in relation to that. And I will just put him as a presenter. Hopefully I can find him in the list.
Okay.
There he was.
So I'm sharing now. Hello to everybody. Yes. So my name is Esa Ruohola, and I come from CGI, as you can see from the slide templates, and I have been assigned to this testing project. The plan is for the next 2 years. Oops. So, Frederick, can you? Okay. Yes. So it's visible. Just and I just started in this project, but basically what I'm going to demonstrate to you is how we are planning to use these data hub messages with this SOAP UI test automation tool. Okay, so let's. Yes, it's okay. Yes, it's okay. I was wondering if my GoToMeeting is hiding the slides, but no. So we have here an example test case where we are planning to test the case with 6 steps, and in the first phase the accounting point doesn't exist at all. Then according to the data hub processes, the distribution system operator creates an accounting point and gets it to the connected status. And then just a step 3 where the supplier submits a new valid until further notice agreement for consumer. And then the step 4 is that there's the grid confirmation by distribution system operator. So I will run this whole test through, and then we look at the details of this message, how these messages go back and forth in the data hub system. And then in this case there is still step 5 and step 6. So there's a supplier S2 submits a new valid until further notice supply agreement with the start of occurrence date, which is 14 days after this S1 submission was done. And then the final step 6 is that there is a third supplier S3 who submits a new agreement with the same start date as this supplier S2 did. So obviously when this happens, that there are 2 contracts with the same start date, so this should result a rejection of this S3 agreement. So let's go and see how this looks like in SOAP UI. So as you can see, so this is the screen, and so I'm happy as a tester, so I don't need to write this all from scratch. So we get some. We have these available in the data hub processes, and we have these different operations that can be done available. And then I can just not say just, but I can clone these steps to create the test sequences I want, and then actually this cloning results that the steps are not always working straightforward, and there's some editing needed. But here is a test case that actually does what I just presented in the PowerPoint. So new account point is created and the checks are done to the agreement confirmation grid message is done, and then the second and the third agreement are created. And then the final step verifies that the error code VR203 arrives, so that means that when the creation fails, this test passes. So that's the logic. So here's how it looks like. So just push on the play, apply on the play button, and then the test executes. You can follow this running here and see the progress that everything goes through. So plan is that we create tests. We create the test scenarios like this, and then take the necessary steps from the process, and then clone those test steps to our test cases, and then automate all the testing using this SOAP UI tool. So we are now at the clear queue running step. I hope everything goes well. Not any demo effect. It goes just clear, and then here we are. We have a nice test environment and nice test case where you can successfully run tests. And we will look more in detail these grid confirmation messages. I have downloaded them. The whole bunch of messages you get looks like this. So once you run a test like this, so end result is lots of XML documents where you can see in detail what happened. And I have highlighted to you 6 steps where we do this agreement confirmation grid request. So Notepad++ is the best one to see this, and then Control and roller mouse is the best way to see how this looks like. But basically this sends the process message request to get the grid confirmation DH3121. Lots of details are sent. Oops. And with all the necessary data. And then after that we got the response to this message, which looks like this. Process message response, it says, and with some more details, creation timestamp, start of occurrence, and interesting code is this BA01, which means that it went through successfully. And then we have a peak message, the third one. We are sending a peak to the system, and as response we get a notification peak message response with all the details, DH3122, and then after this we dequeue the messages from the queue, So it's a short one. We use this reference number to clear the queue. And then finally, we get the response message that everything was done as it should. So the SOAP UI open source version is quite a powerful tool to make these things happen. It's a lot of work to get these, once we have got these FinGrid processes ready-made for us. But yes, once those are available, this creation of test cases is relatively easy with only some coding work. Yes, that's the demo part. Any questions? No, silence. Maybe I give it to Fredrik. Back to Fredrik.
Yeah, thank you. I just like to make a few comments on that. If you have read the event documents and the IES document, and you wonder how to put to write the correct process role into the message, and so that is actually a mistake by us. We will, in the next version of the event document, we will add instructions for the process roles that you need to provide in your request messages to Data Hub, because there will actually be a validation in Data Hub that checks that you are operating in the correct role. An organization needs to be registered for a certain process role in order to be able to execute certain processes. But actually, what you can use now is the test scenarios, because in the test scenarios, the test scenarios are described from a process role perspective, and you will find the right IDs in there. But we'll include it also in the event document so that you can read from that directly which role to be used in which situation and which message. So that is something that I would like still also to emphasize, is that when we have the process message operation is a synchronous web service operation. So when you put in a request for instance, creation of a new agreement, you will get an immediate response on that. So when you saw now two messages, the process message request and process message response, they will get the response immediately within the same session. And the peak message is used when you pick out stuff on your own message queue. When you Data Hub, for instance, if you operate in a DSO role and there are new suppliers that provides you with creates new agreements in your grid, the Data Hub will forward or put the information of new agreements in your message queue, and with your peak message you can get the information of the new agreements, and the GQ is just kind of to acknowledge or let's say remove the message from the queue, the message that you already handled you just remove from the queue, and when you have done that, you can get the next message. When you use the peak operation, you will always get the first message in the queue with first in first out principle, or according to that. So you need to always to dequeue it before you can get the next message. That is a very fundamental principle in the integration that you need to be aware of in your implementation. There will probably be needs for more detailed run through of different scenarios, and I think we can arrange those, but those or agree on that kind of sessions that we will run through with vendors. But I also think that when we will then mostly then arrange meetings with the vendors that are actually working with their own implementation. So this kind of large meetings will probably not arrange when we go to more details, but we will focus on the vendors that are actually working with the implementation and that have concrete questions on how to implement certain scenarios and how to handle certain situations in a different business process. So if you have some thoughts and questions, then we can still hopefully answer them. Otherwise, the message from us is that we have we are quite happy with the situation that we have in Data Hub. We are able to provide testable functionality, and we wait for you to start using it from the or during the spring and summer. So it will be very interesting for us to get the cooperation with system vendors up and up to speed also, so that we can see the complete flows between the business applications. If there are no questions and no comments, I think that we will end the meeting.
One question.
Yes, please.
Yes, Johan Vaaramäki from Hansen Technologies. The test scenario drafts, will they always be published in the Slack channel?
That is the idea, yes, because they will be. We will evaluate them and review them in the system vendor workshops or workshop with system vendors. So they are not by no means final versions. And later on, we will of course publish also official versions of the test scenarios, especially in relation to the certification scope later on. But we have not quite decided on how. Also, we have also discussion on how what would be a good format for describing test scenarios in publicly. And if you have ideas on that, I'm very glad to hear that what would be because I see now it's just in a PDF, but already for stage 1 we defined some 50 or 60 scenarios and only on they still only described on let's say descriptive heading level, and if we expand then them on stage level and also include entry and exit criteria, they will be quite huge documents. So we are discussing what would be the good way of presenting them, and that's also has a dependency actually to that also. How would we like to publish them make them public, in what would be a good way of presenting them. But we will also when we get in market parties to the process, we need to provide them test scenarios to help their work also, and then we will use they will be public, published through the portal or some other tools where we can present them in a good way.
Okay, thank you. And how about the slide set from today?
I think that we can put that to the area portal, and this is also recorded. So if you have colleagues that did not attend this meeting, they will be able to watch this recording later on.
All right, thank you.
Krista Kaaras from Hanson Technologies. Just wanted to check, because now when we're starting the testings with fictional personal ID data, so what was the kind of estimated first point when we can start testing the actual move in, move out processes?
I think that you can actually already now test the basic move in, move out. Not all scenarios of those, but because we can't. Contract termination is, for instance, not available yet. But if you, if a kind of move in, move out scenario when the customer is make a new, except from the termination, that's something. But otherwise, you can make a new agreements with the same customer on different meeting points. So basically, if you have a situation where no, I'm not going to speculate, but it's not complete yet. Let's say so. The complete move in, move out will come later on. You can test a lot of scenarios in relation to the supplier switch process. So we have a big parts also of that move in, move out process available.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
But basically, it will be complete in stage 3. Okay. Something else? If not, I thank you all for the attention, and when we will end this meeting now, and then we look forward to start the real work very soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.